I need you guys to be my hype people all day. Okay. Let's do this. So I have my beautiful model, Marley here, like Bob, yes. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna show all of the amazing attributes and features of the Infallible line. So the Infallible, it stays with you, it stays on, it doesn't matter if you're dancing, swimming, you know, having fun in a club, or, you know, needing to basically powder yourself throughout the day before you go into the next part of your day. I wanna show you how extensive the line is. So let's go. And also, guys, I like talking, right? So whoever engages with me the most and whoever has the most dialogue with me, I'm gonna give you a really special prize as soon as I rap. And can I see, where's Serena? So Serena is gonna be our runner with the mic. So feel free to have as much conversation with me as possible, because I like that. Okay, so what we're gonna do first is I'm going to go directly into skin. I always go into eyes first, but I'm gonna go into skin before, because I just wanna show you how easy it is to build. So this is a buildable look that you can do all day. I love Marley's hair. She reminds me of my sister. My sister's hair looked like that when she was really, really young. It's a little darker now. My sister's in the crowd. Queen, hi Queen. All right, let's do it. So Marley's already moisturized. So we're gonna go directly into using a little bit of I'm using Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation. So the Infallible Fresh Wear Foundation, it lasts 24 hours, guys. It comes in a spectrum of shades, so many different shades. So I love how inclusive the offering is from a complexion standpoint, but we're gonna go directly into it. The thing also I like is, it's one of those things where it actually kind of resists needing to be touched up. So it's not one of those things where you have to continue to go into your makeup bag and touch up throughout the day. I'm using a wet beauty sponge, or beauty blender, we like to call it, and going into the complexion. I'm using a very small amount, a dime-sized amount on the back of my hand. You don't need a lot of product. So the goal is to really build up. You want to build up your coverage and make sure it's minimal in every other place. All right, cool. And also, guys, can y'all come a little closer to me, please? Thank you. Talk to me.
Why do you like using a sponge versus a brush?
So you know what I noticed whenever, because I like building coverage, I really love like this essence of skinmalism. Skinmalism is basically making sure that, I love an eye, I love a show stopping look, but I want the skin to look like skin. I want it to look like you woke up like this, you know? Not to be cliche. But the thing is, this really offers a chance to really shear out the foundation and dial up the coverage wherever you need it. So a brush is great, but in this case, when I'm working with creams or liquids, I really do prefer to always use a sponge. And when they're wet, you're not pouring all of your money into the sponge, it goes right back into the complexion. Hey.
Is this product, do you usually use primer first, or does this product have primer-like benefits to it?
Yeah, so really good question. So the question is, do I use primer first, or does this have primer-like benefits? I would say this has primer-like benefits in the sense that it stays anchored to your complexion, it stays anchored to your face all day, 24-hour wear. But at times, a primer is key. It depends on what you're doing. But for me, I also, like, for example, can I give you a little tip? So when I do concerts, you guys possibly know, like, I do a lot of tour stuff for Beyonce, right? But when we're in concert, I want to make sure that the foundation stays anchored to the complexion all day. So I'll skip the moisturizer and use primer as a moisturizer in those times. So if you're at a wedding, or if you want to have a really hot day, shooting a video or doing something crazy, and you need your skin to stay locked on, omit anything that's going to be too emollient under your foundation. That's just a pro tip. Okay, so I'm going to other way. Okay. That's pretty good. And also, the reason I love these little guys is because they get rid of, like, VCLs, visible contour lines. So I like them because they're like my little magic erasers in a sense, and they really allow me to give a really seamless, almost airbrushed effect to the complexion. So this is the most foundation I'm going to use. If I need any more coverage, I'm going to go in with my concealer. What's up, Chris? You okay over there?
So John, we have some questions from the live.
Let's
So-
do it. Hi, live. Can I ask you a question? Where's my camera for the live? I just want to make sure I'm shouting out the people at home. Do you have an idea? Is it going to be here? Yeah? Cool. What's up, people at home? Tell me what your question
How do I find a color match that matches me?
is. So, how do you find a color match that matches? Well, the thing is, you have to realize, I think everyone, like, we have, the beauty about where we are right now is that there's so many technological advances in products that you have a massive array to pick from. But that also can be kind of like, it can freeze you in a sense where you're like, okay, where do I start? But you have to think about something like this. You should have at least 3 or 4. Your foundation in the summer is going to be maybe your highlight, your bronzer in the winter. And your winter foundation may be your highlighter, around the T-zone in the summer. So having a few different foundations in your arsenal is going to be key. But I want you to look for your undertone. So you can have the same spectrum, but what is your undertone saying? And that's really the key. Are you cooler or warmer? Everyone looks better with more olive complexion instead of going too pink. That's just a little bit of a word to the wise. It doesn't photograph sexy.
So John, we have one more.
Yeah, talk to me.
What sponge do you recommend?
What sponge do I recommend? Anything that looks like an egg sponge. And mind you, there's like so many different sponges you can use nowadays, but anything that absorbs water and has this beautiful bouncy quality to it is going to deposit all of your foundation right back onto the complexion, and it's not going to be in your sponge. So an actual triangular sponge, like we've seen, like we grew up with, well I grew up with, I'm an 80s baby, those won't do it. So guys, what I'm doing right now is I'm taking a little concealer. I'm using the Infallible Full Wear Concealer. I love these babies. I love them to highlight, shape. You can actually sculpt with these in a pinch. And also, if you don't wear foundation, if you don't feel like you need it, it's okay to use moisturizer and just a little bit of concealer and go, or powder, something like that. So I'm using a bit of this underneath the eyes. So I keep this on the eyes, like that there. And I'm using my finger to warm it up. So a pro tip, so this is word to the wise guys, is that making sure that you use your ring finger. Whenever you're working around your eyes, only use your ring finger, never your index. Even when you're applying eye cream, it's too strong, it's too aggressive, it'll age you. So only use the ring finger. And I'm using my fingers to warm up the concealer because your body heat changes the texture of makeup. It makes it look more organic and lived in. So it doesn't look like product sitting on top of your face.
Sir John, is there a benefit to wetting the sponge when applying the foundation?
Absolutely. So the question is there a benefit to wetting your sponge? Always wet the sponge because a dry sponge is going to soak up all of your foundation. A wet sponge is going to push the foundation right back out onto your complexion. I hope that answers it. That's a really good question though. So I have a question for, I had a question for the people at home, everyone here. So where are you guys from? Is everyone here from LA? Is there any New Yorkers in the building? I know I see a few New Yorkers. A few people that took flights here.
Oh, I'm from LA.
LA? So it's
LA.
LA and New York. Only bi-coastal, no one's in the middle, right? Alright, okay. And also, everyone tuning in at home, I'm just curious, like, where's everyone tuning in from? If you can, you guys, just throw your cities in the chat. Hey, so Chris, talk to me. You got a question?
We got some more questions from the live audience. So
Yes.
how do you blend the concealer and the foundation to make it look seamless?
So I only do concealer on top of foundation. I know that seems counterproductive to some. And it's okay for you. I'm gonna stay on this side because this sun, this beautiful LA sun, is really wearing her eyes out. But I only do concealer on top of the foundation because you use a lot less. So that's the goal for me, is to make sure that it looks almost undetectable. And so, I'm sorry, Chris, was that the question? What was the question?
The question is, how do you blend concealer and foundation to make it look seamless?
Okay, yeah. So making sure that you use something like this, use brushes, use your fingers. Your fingers are really great because they're just really beautiful, warm, organic tools in a pinch. Okay, so now guys, I think I'm in a good place when it comes to concealer foundation. I only use a big fluffy brush under the eyes. So this is a hack that I learned when I was assisting Pat McGrath back in the day. And what it is making sure, so these brushes here, anything that's super fluffy like this guy, is going to be really good to give yourself concealer. It's going to be blurred. It's going to look like it's airbrushed on. You can also lift the eyes. I love lifting eyeliners, lifting looks, and this is a really good way to do it. Using a sponge to go in and spackle your concealer is not the most way. It's a little bit too aggressive in my opinion, but I would like to start here. So we're going to go next into, I'm going to go into the powder. Let's do it.
Oh, I have a question as well.
Talk to me, man.
I have, first of all,
Yeah.
I am a fan of your work for the longest
Oh my God,
time
what's your name?
ever.
What's your name?
Jonna.
Jonna?
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet
How are you?
I'm amazing. I struggle with my under eyes.
Okay.
With creasing. What's your biggest tip? Oh,
Because I want everyone to hear your question.
so sorry.
No, it's talking.
I struggle with my under eyes creasing
Okay.
all the time. What's your biggest tip to make sure that it's flawless?
That's a really, really amazing question. I'm glad you asked me that. So I have a hack for you. You guys, whenever you're looking at under your eyes, setting underneath your eyes, never set underneath your eyes with pressed powder. Only use a loose powder. So for example, this is a, you know the difference. This is loose powder, this is pressed. I'm gonna show you a hack. This is my little LeBron trick, okay? But this is not, it's not open. Is it open? Take it, have someone to my saying open this for me, please. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So whenever you see a loose powder, give it a little blow, and if it stays in the air, it's light enough to set your concealer. Anything that's pressed is too heavy and dry. So heavy and dry is a recipe to weigh the complexion down. And the skin on your eyes is so thin it's almost transparent. Skin on your lips and your skin on your eyes is basically see-through. So only use a loose powder to set your eyes. For these beautiful babies, we're gonna use the sculpt, we're gonna use everywhere else, but I'm gonna only use the L'Oreal Paris loose powder to set concealer. So that's gonna be the best thing. And also, don't be afraid to use something a little less emollient in terms of eye cream. Your eye cream may be a little too hydrated, should I say? Not even hydrated, it's too emollient. Two different things. Alright? We got it. Alright, so guys, if you notice, I'm using a big fluffy blush brush, and I'm buffing this into the complexion. And so this is gonna give us even more coverage and dial it up if we need it. Also, this is, this is pretty good for television or something like that. This might be good for going to a festival. If you don't want to worry about your skin all day, this is a really good way to do that. I thought it was going to be cloudy today. I guess the sun wants to come out and play with us. Okay, and so now what I'm going to do, I'm taking a deeper powder. So this is in the same spectrum, the same infallible Freshwear powder foundation. I'm going to use one of these to sculpt. Thank you, look. So I do have this is back to my eye cream, my eye setting concealer tip. So when you get into what happened below. So if you notice, we're windy now, but it doesn't immediately drop. Like a lot of loose powders that we had back in the day, some of the most expensive ones, they have too much of a bad thing. And they immediately fall, and it's going to weigh your eyes down. My biggest fear is for anyone, it doesn't matter if you're 8 or 88, to use pressed powder around the eyes. It's not my biggest fear, it's one of my fears. All right, cool. So we're going to use this right now. I'm using a deeper powder, and this is number 330, even though her true actual match is number 125. So I'm going maybe like a bit deeper to sculpt and bronze. I'm turning this way to the sun. Perfect. So if you notice, I'm going to go into the hairline. I'm going to mimic where the sun is naturally going to hit the face. And I'm not afraid to mix and match. I love a little custom blend action everywhere.
How do you choose which color to use for the bronze or to like sculpt?
I would say 2 shades deeper than the complexion is really nice. And if this happens to be more than 2 shades, I'm using the lighter color to soften and buff. And also, you know what I noticed, guys, whenever you're bronzing your complexion, so look at children. Children, they pick up sun in their faces and they blush differently than we do as adults. We always have this cookie cutter view of like, my blush goes here, I want to deposit my bronzer here. But if you look at kids, they're always really flush higher in certain places. Their skin bronzes in different places. I learned that from Charlotte Tilbury. And so if you really want to get a gorgeous tan, look at kids play. Even though we should be also advocating for SPF.
Yes.
Have you seen this TikTok filter where the bronzer goes like really high?
I
What's your
haven't.
opinion? Oh, you haven't.
I
It
haven't.
was like,
You guys school me on this one. What is this called? What is it?
I don't know what the filter is called, but it's a trend right now,
Okay.
and the bronzer goes like right at your eye. Yeah, it maps your face. It like goes like all the way at like the top of your cheekbone.
Okay,
Do you think that's
okay.
too high? Do you think that's a good place for it?
Well, the thing is, I just want to, I feel sexiest when I've been sun-kissed, and even though I'm protecting my skin from the sun, I have to say, wherever that is on your face, and also our faces are all shaped and such. That's why one thing about filters, they don't love the diversity and the nuances that we all have that are different, you know? So they give us this one cookie cutter view of one nose, one lash, you know? So that's why it's not always so cool to filter it up. But I would say it's kind of like your own personal jam, you know? One thing I love about the moment that we're having in beauty is everything is so whimsical, everything is so like personal to, and everyone's having more fun than I've ever seen people have with makeup. I wasn't so much alive, I was alive in the 80s, but I wasn't thriving. So I can't speak to that, but I do love how after this pandemic and after where we've been, everyone is choosing makeup or makeup choices that makes them feel something. You know, beauty should be a feeling. It's not always a look. Okay, guys. So what I'm gonna do now, so for the sake of time, is I'm gonna go directly into eyes. I feel like I've warmed up the complexion in a really organic way. Now I'm gonna keep it moving.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So I know we're past like concealer, but when you
No, we're not. We're not.
when you apply concealer, do you prefer something like more true to tone or brighter?
Yeah, so that's a good question. A really good question about concealer is always make sure that you go a little pinkier or peachier than your actual. Hey, what's up? Go pinkier or peachier, because what you're gonna do, you're gonna neutralize out any coolness. Whenever you look in the mirror, it's all actually a bluish undertone. Doesn't matter if you profile it or Hong Kong. So making sure that you cancel it out is gonna be the job, but it doesn't mean you have to go much brighter. So don't go more than maybe 1 to 2 shades brighter than your complexion. This is in my opinion. If you're doing drag, or if you're doing like a club kit, if you're like doing some other stuff, then it's a novel direction, and then take it for wherever you need to, you know?
Even for olive tone skin, you would recommend like
Especially olive tone. I'll tell you why. So a friend of mine, Iman, not the younger one, the OG, she's Somalian, you know, and I have a few Ethiopian friends. And if anything, they need to cancel out the olive by going even more orange with their foundation. They love even more bronzer that has a longer undertone, so they don't look sour. Okay guys, so what I'm doing now is I'm going to jump right into, we've already used powder foundation, we used our Fresh Wear liquid underneath it, and then we went into concealer. We have a gorgeous brow on. Your lips still dry? And so we're going to go now into eyes. So I have a little cool thing that I'm going to unveil. And so we have these beautiful liners that they don't even drop until July. But I get a chance to, because you guys are so cool, they let me play with them now. Shout out to Alina, shout out to Elizabeth in the building, guys, my agent. Shout out. All right. So I'm gonna, before I do this, I want to show you something else. If you have a really small bag and you're going from work to dinner or whatever that looks like, maybe, possibly, you want to have convertible pieces. When I say convertible pieces, you want to use things that actually can be used in different areas of the face at different times. So I'm going to go again for this powder, and I'm going to show you how to use it as an eyeshadow, and then we're going to put a beautiful, gorgeous blue liner on top. Okay, close your eyes, please. And if you notice, whenever I work around the eyes, I'm just super delicate and gentle. There's no reason to be aggressive when it comes to putting on makeup. Like sometimes I see other makeup artists, I see other makeup artists, and they are just a little bit more aggressive than they need to be. You can give so much of a look, but you want your client or whoever's sitting in the chair to be very comfortable. This is oftentimes, guys, this is the only time that they have to connect with themselves before they go on television, before they go on stage, before they hit the runway, or whatever that looks like. So it should be a pleasurable experience if you are a makeup artist watching.
So John, we have another question from the live.
Talk to me.
How do you avoid fallout from the eyeshadow onto your face?
So good question. That's why I always do eyes first. But since we're here, it's like a cooking show, guys. I have to bake first. Actually, I don't bake. I cook. But because I don't believe, again, in what? Too much pressed powder around the eyes. But I would say that if you do your eyes first, if you get into a habit of doing that, you'll never have to worry about the fallout. It's quicker, the cleanup is easier, and then do your complexion in seconds after your eyes are done. Also, if you happen to be a bit more mature, I don't like to say older, more mature, doing your eyes first, is and then doing your complexion and concealer after, is a really great way to lift the eyes. I love that all of you guys are early bird risers came to check us out so early. That means you guys were behaving last night. I don't see any dark circles in the audience at all. Because of your concealer? I love it. Of course. So if you notice, basically I'm just using two brushes. I'm using something flat and stiff to deposit color. And then also I'm using something fluffy to really disperse it and make sure it dissipates away. Starting at the lash line and just blending my way up. And mind you, this is a pressed powder that's two shades deeper than Marley's complexion, but this is going to be an eyeshadow today. And this is the same color I sculpted the perimeter of the face with as well. So once again, guys, I call these convertible pieces in a makeup kit. Convertible color is really key. Alina, you have any questions, babe?
Not yet.
Okay, guys, so what I'm doing now is I'm taking a liner. This is called lay liner. So lay liner, there are 5 of them in the collection. I love them because they go on really smooth. I like liners that you don't have to drag or work up. Because a lot of people wear contacts, people have sensitive eyes. It's a really sunny day, and I don't like tears. I hate tears. Okay, so look at you. You turn your face away from the sun. Eyes up, okay. So if you want to cover your eyes with some sun, you can. So guys, I'm going into the bottom lash line. And I'm just slightly smoking the lash line at the bottom. Just a little bit. But I'm using a very minimal pressure. So was that not too bad?
That was the best.
And I'm using a brush, guys, to just really get in there and make sure that this line is softer.
I did have a fun question.
Yes, please, welcome.
If you were to choose 2 products, 2 beauty products, and you could only pick 2,
Uh-huh.
what would they be?
So can you say that a little louder for the people in the back?
If you could choose only 2 beauty products to take with you anywhere, which 2 would it be?
2 products, right? That's a really small bag, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so 2 products. Is it AM or PM?
Like you were stranded on an island and you could only take 2 items.
Okay, so it would be a battery charger and SPF. No, I'm joking. Okay, so if I had to have 2 makeup products that would last me all day, for myself, everyone has a different focus. And I'll say, like, and also, guys, I want to let you know, as you become more mature, the conversation with your face changes. Like, when you're younger, it's all about eyes. It's all about expressive eyes, making them big and doe-eyed or smoky. But as you become a little bit, as you've lived a little more life, the eyes minimize. It maybe has more texture than you want. So you want more of a statement on the bottom or on the lips. So I would say it depends on where you are in your life. But for me, since I have a bald head and I don't want to be shiny, I would say I would love the infallible powder because I know it's going to last me a bit. Hopefully someone will pick up the SOS. And then a good brow pencil because I think that hair on the face is really charming to look at even if you don't have a stitch of makeup. So take care of your lashes, take care of your brows. Yeah, okay. Cool.
Actually, I did have one more question.
Yeah, please.
So I consider the eyes, and of course, the current trend is, having those lifted eyes. What would you recommend for drooped eyes? Well, not necessarily droopy, but like to lift.
Yeah, lifting eyes. And the thing is, we all at some point are gonna have hooded shape. Like one of my eyes is a little deeper set, and then this is my selfie side. I think, I forgot about that. And one has more of a hood situation, but we'll all have more skin on our eyes as we become older. It's just life, And so, how do we master the eyes? Not saying that you have hooded eyes because you're super young. But I would say what you want to do in terms of that is also create an illusion. You don't necessarily have to take your liner and go to the edge of where your eye stops. You can lift a bit and maybe even create a sense of like stopping right where the pupil is and going up higher. So that's very a la Elizabeth Taylor, Pat Benatar in the 80s. Like elongating liners is going to be key. So elongating and then up. So skipping the last centimeter of your eye is going to be the hack I want you to try to bring it home. Okay, Isaac? I hope that, oh, and also I want you to DM me a picture of what that looks like.
So I have a question regarding liners.
Yes, please, talk to me.
So I know that you just mentioned like blue liner, right?
Uh-huh.
So 2 questions. Do you typically use the same color liner for the top and bottom lash?
I don't. That's a good question, and that's exactly what I'm going to do right now. So right now I'm going to use, these right here are beautiful. These are the Infallic Grip liners, the felt tip. So basically, see this situation here? I'm going to use that on the top lash line, even though I use the soft brown at the bottom. I'll give you another tip. If you are doing a smoky eye, so you guys been to any like on the run concerts ever? Okay. Can I get some? So on the run, so I know that we always want to do this cat eye every day. So I would do black on the top and do brown at the bottom. So I would do brown eye kohl, brown eyeshadows at the bottom, and then our black at the top. But no one knew they were looking at brown at the bottom on the monitors but it's not as aggressive. Too much black underneath the eyes is really aging. It just appears it wasn't the look we were going for. So in that way, it's a really beautiful optical illusion that I think that you should try taking. Cool. But right now we're going to do brown at the bottom, and we're going to do this beautiful navy color at the top. And this is called blue. Okay, cool.
So also I love how there's so many different colors for liners.
Oh,
What
yeah.
are some of your favorites that you're using today?
Oh my God! So I'm a huge, massive liner fan, right? And so I love a pencil liner. I love pop liners. But in terms of color, I love a navy. I like navy because a couple years ago, John Smalls and I kind of coined the phrase denim liner, and so it became a thing. It was a hashtag. It was a situation. So this is like denim. So I love blue eye holes. I think blue is so flattering on everyone. It doesn't matter what complexion you are, what part of the world you're from. So I do love blue liner for the wig. Yeah, for sure. And also, you know what I love about blue liner? Like my mom used to wear it back in the 80s, blue liner and these pink lipsticks. And it kind of reminds me of like this cool 80s vibe that it just kind of brings a little nostalgia for me. So yeah, that'll be the answer.
So John, we have another question from the live.
Okay.
Tips for transitioning makeup from winter to spring as we move into spring.
I thought tips for transitioning, and my mind went somewhere. So say that one more time.
Any tips for transitioning makeup from winter to spring?
Yeah, so when you're looking at what you want to do from spring and winter, we want to also, I would start with transitioning my skincare. So basically changing your skincare wardrobe or arsenal is going to be key. I want to go to lighter serums, the things that I can, like spraying moisturizers. I really want to make sure that I'm storing all of my winter skincare first. And then also looking at how can I give myself coverage with minimal product. I think in the summertime, because of the heat index, because of where the nature of what you're going to be doing throughout the day, you possibly may want to spend more time outdoors. So how can I use less? How can it be less heavy? So my pores can breathe. If your pores can't breathe, your skin will produce more oil. And then also making sure that everything in my summer regime happens to have some kind of sun protection, some kind of sun factor. Can I tell you guys a little funny story? So I was never a huge fan of liners that were felt tip because as a makeup artist who happens to be a male, this is really easy for women to do on themselves, right? But I remember when I first got the job working with Beyonce, we were doing this Miss Carter show. And she wanted liner looks, right? And I was like, how about we do smoky style instead? But so now, like she challenged me to really get in there and do what I hated, and now this is my favorite thing to do. So I do love liner, but it's really easy for people to do them on themselves. But as a makeup artist, it takes a little bit more practice to do it on someone else. Does that make sense? Yeah. And then after you're done, just take your fingers and pull, and that gives you the perfect wing every time. But also, I love these little, you see these little tiny cotton buds? They're cool because they actually really great reshapers for lips. They're good to shape liner. You can keep them in your bag. They don't take a lot of space, but these are my magic little helpers whenever I want to make things more symmetrical. Don't try to start out making a liner symmetrical. Just get it on there, and then it's all about the cleanup. All right, so we're gonna go into some mascara, guys, and look up there. Okay, really down, really down. Down this way. So guys, I love the tight line. I'm not sure if you know what that means, but everyone hates it because it's not comfortable. But it looks so good. Tight lining is when you take your liner and go directly underneath your lash line. It's not comfortable, but your lashes look really thick from the root. Boom, thank you. She's a trooper. Marley.
He's gentle.
So guys, can I have a paper towel, guys, please? Possibly? So we're gonna go into mascara and some blush and a lip, and we're almost there. But before we get there, I want to have even more fun with this eye. So I'm gonna take out this situation right here. These are called brilliant eyes, guys. I love these because I do love light reflection, any kind of light reflective quality. They stay anchored to your eyes all day. They last. You can use them as a base for other shadows, which is really beautiful in a pinch. And we're gonna go with this. I'm gonna brush this onto the ball of the eye. You know what's so funny is that I don't usually do makeup, but I'll use it, so this is kind of cool. So, you have a paper towel though? No? I'm using a really super small fluffy brush, and chin back for me, and look down at your eye, look down. Okay. So right on the ball of the eye, just gonna tap this baby. So guys, it's okay to build. You don't necessarily need to saturate your brush too much with product, but building your look is key. It always looks more, it just looks more intentional, and it's easier to make mistakes. I make mistakes, we all make mistakes in makeup, so I think that's kind of the goal. You don't know what you'd like until you know it's not worth it. Look face a little bit more. Hey, for Chris. That's Serena. Serena or Chris? Hey, thank you. How are we doing on time? You good? Yeah. Cool. So guys, I'm gonna go directly into, this is the lip and cheek tint, and this is called Glow Paradise. So mind you, these are new. This is called Rosy Bliss. I like this a lot. I'm a huge, massive fan of Cream Blush. I love Cream Blush. It's one of my favorite products to work with. And why do I like to use it? I like to use it because it just makes the skin look dewy and glowy and expensive. You can't wait to use it? And so what I'm doing is I'm making sure that I don't have too much product on the brush, and then we're going to go directly in and start to just slightly kiss the complexion with our product here. And so if you notice, it starts with a flush, but you can always build it up if you need to. And so this is kind of like super sexy in the summertime, to go with a sheer wash of color, and then taking my fingers and just slightly warming up or removing any BCLs, visible contour lines.
I have a quick question.
Yes, please.
I see that you're putting the product on your hand first before putting it like on the brush and then onto the skin.
Yeah.
Is that something you recommend?
I do. You'll use a lot less. I see, and I'm not knocking any direction of where the visuals come from that we are learning from. But putting product directly on the face, you often use too much. Any artist you've ever seen paint, they never go with the paint on the canvas. It's always on a palette. It always starts, if you want to mix it here, it starts to be organic. You'll know what the product looks like. Maybe it's thicker or more opaque than you want it to be. And you know how to shear it out when it goes to your face. So the hack of life is always put your products somewhere else before putting them directly on your face. That's just my opinion. Even skincare. Like I don't go directly into, I like to manipulate it and press into the face instead of going directly in. So right now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna go directly to a lip, guys. These right here are called the Pro Matte Liquid Lipstick. I love these babies because they're quick, they're fast, and I don't need to use lip liner.
I had a question about the blush while we were doing that.
Uh-huh.
I know that you were using the powder first, so thoughts on putting cream on top of powder?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And also, I think that whenever you use cream blushes, nowadays, the cream blushes that we have now, they don't put holes in your powder foundation. But if I was starting from ground zero, I would have actually baked a little bit of the cream blush into the liquid foundation. So I would have done that in the opposite direction. So that's a really good question. So actually, I didn't make a mistake, but I'm learning along the way. So guys, I'm gonna show you a little tip. So I did this a few times before and I like the way it looks. I'm taking a darker color and I'm gonna go on the top lip with darker, and then I'm gonna have her do like this little peanut butter and jelly situation by pressing the lips together. Don't rub, just press, just press. And guys, for the sake of everything, like when I have more of a controlled environment, you have, it's easier to do all this stuff. This is fun for me too, to challenge myself to do makeup outside. I remember when I was in New York, I used to always love watching women do their makeup. I used to love watching women do their makeup on the train. And I guess they thought I was like some kind of crazy stalker. But it's so interesting to see people do their makeup in different environments because it's almost like a person. Whenever you're doing your makeup, it's such a nice ritual to watch that happens every day. It can become a mundane experience after you're doing it for year after year after year, but like it's a really beautiful way to connect with yourself. I think. Do you guys feel the same way? What do you feel? How do you feel about the process of doing your makeup? Are you over it, or do you like it?
I love it.
You love it? What do you love about it?
I feel like it's like my me time, if you will. So I take my time with it. For those in the back, I just
Yeah?
said, I feel like it's my
One
me
minute, okay.
time, and I just take my time with it. And I feel like I like doing my makeup more than actually going out.
Oh,
If that makes any
oh,
sense.
I love it.
I'm
I like
also
it.
a Taurus, so I would
I
say
like her
that-
already, yes. So she says she likes the art of doing her makeup more than the place and the destination. That's where we want to be there. That's gold. That is gold. Okay, guys, I got like 30 seconds left. Do you have any other? This color is called. This is really gorgeous. I like it too. It's called Me Sherry. So it's number 870. And so I was working with the color earlier, but I was like, you know what? Let me go for a deeper situation. So that's why I did this whole lip and this Me Sherry tone. And I think we're in a good place. So guys, do you have any questions while I'm doing mascara and closing this out? Even though I'm closing this out, I don't want you guys to leave because we're gonna go directly into a panel discussion and we're gonna have a sexy day for the whole day. So you're stuck with me, basically. Okay, close your eyes.
Do you typically use setting spray when you've completed your look?
I don't, that's so funny that you asked that. I don't usually use setting sprays because if you're doing a really good job of using a powder foundation, a liquid and a powder. If you notice, when I do brows, I'll do a pencil and a powder. I'll do shadows and I'll set them with, so all that groundwork creates like this Teflon face. And I don't feel the need, I've never used setting powders or setting sprays, correct. Okay, cool. So I believe, yeah, we're in a good place. So guys, listen, let's give a beautiful round of applause for my gorgeous model, Marley. And basically that's all I got for you right now. So I thank you guys from TikTok. The Infalathon hashtag is there. I want to see your looks. Don't go anywhere, guys. I want to kick it with you, but we're going to get ready for our panel discussion. So that's it. You want to stand up? Yeah, right? Yeah, right? Oh, yeah, I forgot. We don't even have a mirror up here. But in the back. We'll take a look in the back. Cool. So, and just for these guys right here, just want to say for the lower left. Cool.